morning or good day or good evening, wherever you may be in this world. I'm Tim. Welcome to my stream. Welcome to my channel. If you haven't been here before, I'm just your average dad working out, having fun, trying to stay in shape. Make sure I'm able to keep up with my kids and yeah, having fun. Gonna be doing shoulders today. So we're gonna try to get through 3 different exercises. We're gonna start off with the lateral raises. I have some fun with that. See where we're at. One thing, I'll be right back. Right back. All right. I feel like this would be a good exercise for breaking kids up in a fight. Like 2 little kids, just be able to separate them. Bring up 20 pounds. Feel good this morning. A little sore from yesterday, but good. Then all yesterday looking at houses to buy. It's definitely taxing trying to find the right house. I know they say you'll never find the perfect house, but so far I've just found houses that are, you always have to give up something. We thought we found a really nice house, a huge backyard, which would be great for the kids, and had a pool, and it would be awesome. But the interior was small and left a lot to be desired. And it was at a good price. Like the listed sales price was good, but it turns out they had listed the sales price really low. I think with the intention of, getting a bidding war going. And weren't interested. Hard though. Thankfully, we have a good realtor, and she kind of talked us out of it and helped us be kind of true to what we really wanted, which is nice. The realtor can always just say they get their permission, so she could have talked us into it, or we'd already talked ourselves into it. She could have just let us run with it, but thankfully she was really good. She like helped us see the problems and why this was not the property for us. Very fortunate. All right, this is 20 pounds. It was nice. It was good. We got very fortunate. When we bought our first house, we used the same realtor that my grandparents and parents used, and that was a really good. She did awesome for us. She had us a really good deal on our first property. She helped us sell the property as well and get a good deal on that end. But then she went down and she we moved to a different area, so she did the research for us on the realtors and found this other realtor for us, and that's been really good. It's nice. It's nice to have good relationships with people. But it's important to be able to be courteous and respectful and pleasant to work with. That they will recommend other people to you and have an easier time of it. Yeah, real estate is tricky. Like trying to figure out what a good house is versus a bad house. Trying to determine how much money something's going to cost, how much you're going to put into it. That's the side that you can see it first. Like when we sold, we had our first house for 5 years, and we did about $60,000 with the renovations to it in 5 years. And that's just something that it's easy to overlook, like how much you're going to spend. What's up, Bowser? Yeah, it's easy to miss that. We weren't expecting to spend that much. Plus, we knew people that could help us do a lot of the work that we did, or we got deals for the work. Like we had to put in a fence, and we spent $10,000 on one part of the fence, and then another like $5,000 on another portion of the fence, something like that. And it was cheaper because I had a buddy that lived in an apartment complex with us that knew how to do fences. And so he was able to hook us up with a good deal. And then we laid a slab, and the same buddy had connections with the guy that did cement work, and they hooked us up. And I did all of the digging for the slab, all the prep work. So that saved us money. And we redid the whole backyard, and I did all of the work. Um, that was a lot. It would have been expensive to pay someone to do all the landscaping. We're trying to keep that in mind when we look at a new house. All right, that's 30 pounds. I haven't done 30 pounds in a while, so just pretty glad that I got 5. I'm hoping that this new schedule I have of rotating workouts rather than having like strict days where I do workouts will help me stay more consistent with doing each routine. Like I said, I haven't done lateral raises in a while. Definitely haven't done 30 pounds in a while. I'd like to be able to be solid at nailing that again. All right. For the shoulder press. Perfect. Tell you what though, I do feel better now I've gotten through, 2 full weeks of doing 5 days a week. I feel a lot better. I think working out in the morning is probably best for me. Nice to be able to get in here and get it done, and then have my whole day open up. Been watching the show American Primeval on Netflix, and it's definitely a fascinating show to watch. I like one of the things I noticed that I like about the show is not everyone is wearing the traditional cowboy hat, and that's something that's always been present in westerns. Everyone's wearing cowboy hats, but when you look back, like that's not actually the attire that the average guy was wearing. And it's interesting looking at the Native Americans. My family's got Native American blood, and it's like I want to say my great grand my great grandparent was full Navajo, and but we don't. It's never been part of our culture. This was something that was. But my wife's family is Native American. Her grandpa is full Native, and it's interesting is that he's only like 2 or 3 generations away from the time period for American Primeval. And if there had been a child born like that year, the year is supposed to be like 1857. He would have been like in his 70s when my wife's grandpa was born, and it's just not that much time. Interesting. I always fall into this thing where it seems like things that weren't that long ago were always presented as so far back. Now, I wonder, just thinking about it, I wonder if part of that has to do with black and white footage. That black and white footage made things seem so much older than they were. I can't think of the young boy's name off the top of my head, but there's the story from the civil rights era where the young boy is visiting, the young African American kid is visiting his family in the South, and he's from the North, and he ended up upsetting a female cashier, white cashier in a store by accidentally touching her hand when taking the coins, and they ended up pulling him out of his house at night, brutalizing him, and killing him. And then no one got in trouble for it. The men that did it were tried, and they were found innocent. nothing happened. But the crazy thing is like my my dad and other people would talk about it like it was some ancient thing. And then I was looking one day at the story, and I was like, "Hey, Dad, like this boy was born the same year as Grandpa. The same year that Grandpa was alive. You know, this happened. Like, and it could have happened to Grandpa, because Grandpa is, you know, full Hispanic. If he were in the South and got into the same situation, it could easily have been him. And I don't think either of us just realized like how recent it was. Where you just feel like you, for some reason, you feel like it's just so long ago. The perception of time and events is really fascinating to me. They just forget that it wasn't that long ago. Hmm. I will say, I will say that it's interesting as we, if you get in an argument where you know you're right and you know that the other person's wrong. Sorry. So when you're in an argument and you know that you're right, you know the other person's wrong. It's amazing. Like you can get really tense and really invested in showing them they're wrong. When really you could just, if you're right, you can sit back and time will inevitably show them that they're wrong. So I like the song like time, it's on my side. Yes, it is. If you're right, next time you're in an argument, just sing that song to yourself, calm down, and realize eventually this person's gonna know that I'm right. They might lie about it, like they may pretend like, oh no, that was wrong. You were always wrong, but they'll know. Time will always prove who is right in the situation. All right, go down to 40 pounds. Now you always saying you wanna be free. But you come running back. And it's funny is I made some predictions about the future when I was a kid, on how I think things would go, and I would tell people my views on where I thought we were headed as a society, and people would argue like, "No, that's you're wrong. That'll never happen." And unfortunately, a lot of what I said and thought is ringing true. And I remember in the past, like arguing with people about it, and then not agreeing, and the wasted energy. And now that I'm older, or since then, I've learned just let time do its thing and prove you right. This is the 40 pounds. One of the things that I enjoy about today is watching everyone proclaim what diet is the best, or um, what nutrition plan is the best, what extras are the best to take, whether it's vitamins or supplements, what's going to go the furthest, what operations to get, what operations to avoid. And I'm really interested because time will show where where people are right and wrong. And that's one of the fascinating things about watching or listening to Joe Rogan is he's really big on taking not stimulants, but taking supplements and following a carnivore diet, and the way he does his working out and cold plunge and saunas, the stem cells. He's got over a decade and a half on me on the timeline. It's going to be really fascinating to watch how it all plays out for him, and it'll give me enough time to adopt anything that works good. But seeing what people do and how it plays out, it's going to be fascinating. Like, I can't wait to see in 10 years where are all the influencers that were taking steroids. Are they still able to stay in great shape? Are things working out for them? I want to see where all these guys end up that do certain exercise routines. What what are they like in 10 years? And in 10 years too, I want to see the deep dives on all of the get rich quick schemes. Who really made out, and in 10 years, like who's successful on cryptocurrencies. Like, well, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be very fun in the next few years because it's fun now. Like, there's always videos out there of like, hey, what happened to this young actor, or what happened to this politician, or what happened to this spokesperson? Where'd they go? And you could see it, and now it'll be even more so because these guys and girls, their lives are so documented online. You'll be able to find them forever and be like, oh, this is where this guy turned out, and this is how this person worked out. And it's really fascinating. I'm really curious to see where Mr. Beast ends up. I hope it's somewhere good for how much Mr. Beast has helped people and had fun. I hope that in 10 years he's still able to do the same thing. Producing fun content that helps out people. The other one is I'm curious to see where all the like political commentators end up. People making protests, like where they go because of AI and the ability to track people. They'll find them in 10 years. Hey, remember when you were destroying Teslas? Where'd you end up? What changed? What did you take away from that? Remember when you were protesting that one group and you dedicated that summer? Like, how do you see that now? I know in my life it's always fascinating to meet like old hippies. And I don't mean just for the sake of like scoffing at them, like, oh, you got this wrong, but taking the lessons that they learned and seeing their successes, like where did it make them a better person? Like maybe they're not as hardcore, but maybe they do things that just don't show up as much. Or maybe they're not down at the protest, but maybe they're giving financial aid to people. Like what decisions that they made today shape their character for the future. That's going to be really fascinating to see. I think ultimately, like I like to see people grow and learn from their experience. I think if you're in a position where you are excited to see failures, that sucks. Like talking about watching like old actors, like people that were famous when I was a kid, like kid stars and stuff, and see their success. I think some people like to watch their downfall, but I like watching them when they kept it together. They did something. Maybe they got away from the limelight and they're just happy living their lives, doing something random. It's like the best. And I think there's like a sick desperation in some people to see people fail. Like you want to see the guy that spray paints someone's Tesla go to prison or go to jail or their life be ruined. But I think that there's a better side to that where they just figure out that there's a better way to enact change. They get smarter. They find out who their real enemies are and how to better serve themselves and other people, value themselves and their time. And that's fun to see. Just make smart decisions. And don't let people take advantage of the impulses of your youth. I think that's very hard. I'm gonna switch up to shoulder shrugs now. I know when I was a kid, like there were a lot of things where people were able to take advantage of my wanting to do good and help people. You know, and I wish that I was more aware that people were trying to play off of my that good nature. Put myself in some not great spots as a result of that. Working long hours, and that's having things be a detriment to my mental health. I worked in a group home, taking care of kids, and I feel like the group home, I took advantage of anybody that was good natured and would just get you to work longer than you should have and do, take less money than was fair because they just knew like good natured people were always going to want to help out. And I got involved with a church when I was younger that, did the same thing. I took advantage of situations. I think that's what happens to a lot of these people that get caught up in protests or somebody tells them like this is the great cause and you have to do this and they just take advantage of their good nature. They're wanting to do something, save humanity. feeding them to the wolves. That's sometimes the hard part when you see videos where someone is debating a college student who's young, and you college kid is painted in this like super negative light, and it's always like, oh, look at this like idiot arguing against whatever the debater's idea is. But if you like take time to study these kids' faces, like there's one, like you can see they have a real real desire to be the hero in the situation. They're stepping up. They think that they've got the ability to defeat this debater that's been deemed the enemy and the fascist, and they step up to the plate and they're ready to take on the cause in front of everyone. And then you see them, they get confused. They don't know what they're talking about, but there is that passion, and they are really trying to do something that's right. And they're really trying to help people. They're not out there. I'm not saying everyone is like that, but you'll see them, and they're good kids. They just have gotten in the wrong direction, and then it's sad to watch them get dunked on when I feel like the compassion and love could have made a better decision. And I don't know where they like get that drive from. What's up, James? Where people get this like desire to just slam these kids. But it's really interesting when it's supposed to be Christians doing it. Because when you look at the Bible, you never see like Jesus like just dunking on children. You see him getting in, discussions with the Pharisees and the Sadducees, who are like the leaders, but you don't see him like walking up to Joe Schmo off the street and just slamming him. There's no better illustration, I think, for how Jesus approaches people than the Samaritan woman at the well. And I feel like if like some of these debaters that claim to be representing the church were talking to the Samaritan woman, it would just start slamming her right away, rather than having any sort of compassion. All right, working on the shoulder shrugs right now. This is the 60 pounds. But again, like talking about when you're right, just the waste of time it is to argue with someone that's wrong, and how time just proves them, wrong, and you could have just left it alone. Like how much energy was wasted talking to, um, there's like celebrities or politicians that were like, oh, like this is like who I am, and they would make these great big points, and then you kind of shows that that's not who they are. They don't really have that conviction. There is a politician that's been very vocal about saving the earth and green deals and stuff, and then they were caught taking a first class flight, and people, you spend so much time arguing with this person on their ideas when eventually they'll show that they don't really believe those concepts. They don't really have that conviction. You could have just saved yourself a lot of breath, put your energy towards something more positive. My dad always said, like, don't wrestle with pigs because you'll just get dirty and the pigs like it. You having a good day, James? I appreciate the encouragement, man. And I do think that time is better viewed when you believe in eternity. And when you believe, like I do, that we are never going to cease to exist, that we have immortality, that we'll die, but we'll go on to heaven or wherever you end up, you're going to keep living. And that changes how you view time, and it changes how you view the necessity to be proven right in an instant. When you know you have forever, it's easier to wait for things to come to fruition. You can realize that this moment is fleeting, the need to be right in this moment is something that isn't necessary because time will show you that you're right. And you can just sit back and let time do its thing. I think one of the problems that we have in this world is people's lack of understanding forever. You have forever, and I think that changes things. And it's funny, is there's like the I can't think of the name of the book. There's a series a kid wrote about dragons and being dragon riders. And in the story, there's elves, and the elves are known for planning, you know, for the distant future because they're immortal, so they can plan for a long time. And in most like fantasies, like the elves are better, you know, in Tolkien and stuff because they can plan for a long time. They know they don't time is on their side, and that's how I think reality really is. Time is on your side. You just have to recognize that fact, and then you can kind of relax and make better decisions. It's one of the things that I've recognized about getting in shape is that time is on your side. We like there's always since I was a kid, there's like here's what you do to get there's a 30 minutes and you'll have abs, do these exercises, do this diet, and you can be in great shape in 30 days. There's always this push, and it doesn't necessarily have to be that way. There's an easier way to get things, or there's safer ways to get things done. You know, if you're focused on moving fast, that oh man, I think especially when you're like young, when you're in your teenage years, you look at guys like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and you're like, oh man, I gotta get to be that strong. And you look at like, oh, I can do this overnight, but that's what's pitched to you, and that's when you end up making mistakes and hurting yourself. You know, how many guys tore their muscles in the gym when they're young? They were trying to, you know, be able to bench press 300 when they were still in high school. But if someone slowed them down and said, hey man, like you got decades to be able to get this done and done safely, how much better off would they be today? That's one of the things I find fascinating about hearing people who are big fans of AI. And they talk about one day AI is going to solve all of our problems for us. It's going to make things work better. And I think it's short-sighted because society's problems have been solved in the past. Just we don't listen. We don't adopt the solution that would make our lives better. And I find that's going to be true about AI as well. I think if AI turns into a dictator, that would be one thing. I'm not advocating for that, but I think people need to be ready for the fact that people are going to want to change things, and they're not going to want to listen. Someone's going to put their thumb on those scales. All right, that's it for today. We got skedaddle. Try to keep what we talked about in your mind, though, that time will ultimately prove you right. You're right. And that you have forever. That you are an immortal being. And see how that changes your day. See how that changes situations. Like, you find yourself in an argument with someone, trying to see if you can step back and remember, hey, I'm immortal. I have forever. What will that do to your day? What will that do to that argument? Where will you will it be easier to walk away? I think so. I think if someone's arguing with you about something dumb and you know that time will show that you're right, then it'll be easier to walk away from that person and let them deal with their situation, and you go do something that you enjoy with your day. Remember, just because you're an immortal and you have forever doesn't mean you can't enjoy every moment. So thank you so much. I hope you have a good day, and God bless you.